Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Parts Talk. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate each and every one of you. Now today we're going to be reviewing some articles that highlights how thousands of people are losing their jobs, all in part of the EV revolution now taking place. So our first article here is entitled Hundreds to Lose Jobs as Electric Car Maker Britishvolt Collapses. Let's go through. Electric car battery company Britishvolt has fallen into administration, making almost 300 staff members redundant. The company, which had plans to build a gigafactory to make the batteries in Northumberland, has appointed administrators at EY after failing to raise enough cash for its research and the development of its Convoy site. It comes after months of trouble as the company struggled to raise enough money to stay afloat. Now, a week ago, the group said it was in talks with potential investors. And he quoted here, the company has entered into administration due to insufficient equity investment for both the ongoing research it was undertaking and the development of its sites in the Midlands at the northeast of England. The article also went on to say the complete lack of a competent industrial strategy by the government to protect jobs in the UK automotive sector is becoming potentially more catastrophic by the day. Jonathan Reynolds, Labour Shadow's business secretary, said the government's long-term failure in industrial strategy means we're losing the global race for electric vehicles by the battery manufacturing, putting our world-famous car industry at risk. Under this government, local communities are watching businesses shutting their doors, job opportunities going abroad, and investment leaving Britain. And they're not the only place that this is happening, but let's summarize it some more. In this video by GBN Live, a British broadcasting station, they also talk about what happened at Britishvolt. We're gonna go into this video, but I'm starting at the 3-minute mark, which makes further sense.
The potential, the workforce, the local people are up for this green revolution.
And the key to this, you're saying, obviously we need the battery plants where the cars could be built, and that we at least 10 really to provide any kind of future for car production? These are industry figures, and obviously people promoting these figures are trying to jump on a bandwagon and so on. But look, we can't fulfill, in my view, that government pledge to ban the new sale of petrol and diesel cars by 2030 if we've only got one gigafactory in this country building the batteries for.
And this is what happens when politicians get involved in manufacturing or anything else that is outside of politics. Leave those who are experts and have the knowledge and the experience to move forward with this. You can't change an entire sector within 15 years and expect everyone to just play along. You're talking about jobs, you're talking about livelihood, and you're talking about a sudden shift in the way how people operate.
For the cars, we can't import that many cars, and you can only make electric vehicles really close to where the batteries are made because they're so heavy and uneconomic to transport until you put them in the actual cars. So I think unless you get these, if you believe in EV, if you believe in electric vehicles,
that's a different question.
And that's a different question that we can talk about. But if you are going to back electric vehicles in this way, you need the gigafactories to build the batteries so then the cars can be built locally rather than being imported.
Liam, thanks for bringing us up to speed with that special report. Thank you very much.
And part of the problem is you need certain raw materials in order to build these cars, and those raw materials have to be imported from other countries all around the world. And it is essential to have the factories situated where the materials are located, because at the end of the day, everything adds up to the cost of these vehicles. And if you all think it stopped there, listen to this report by Wyon.
And it's from the auto world, where Ford Motors, it plans to cut nearly 3,200 jobs across Europe. It will move some of its product development back to the US as well. Germany's union, IG Metall, is vowed to take action, saying Ford's plan will cause disruptions. Rising costs for electric vehicle battery materials and projected slowdowns in the US and European economies have put immense pressure on car maker Ford to cut costs. Earlier this month, Tesla waged a price war, causing stir and intensifying pressure on companies.
And all this because decisions were made by the politicians operating in first world countries, not knowing that there will be a blowback in the way how manufacturers do business. Everything has to be done and decided based on the operational cost, and everything has to be budgeted. But you also have to find a way to get these cars ready for the consumption of consumers, and one of that is price ready. Now Ford decided to cut back in Europe because it only makes sense if you want to compete with Tesla and all the others. You have to have the factories close to where the manufacturing process takes place, and it also makes sense in order to have the factories located in order to gather the necessary raw materials to have the production as tight as possible.
Ford now plans to fix up to 2,500 people in product development and up to 700 administrative roles, with German locations remaining most impacted. The carmaker, with over 45,000 workers in Europe, is planning 7 new electric models in the region. A battery assembly site can come up in Germany, and a nickel cell manufacturing JV in Turkey will come as a part of a major EV push on the continent. Its partnership with Volkswagen is all set to produce around 1.2 million vehicles on German carmakers' MEB electric vehicle platform over 6 years. The partnership remains in place, however, job cuts come as an intrinsic part of maintaining competitive prices in the market.
And I will continue to repeat this because anything that affects the world, whether it's a world economic crisis, a global catastrophe, an environmental situation, the automotive industry is one that takes the hit first, because you have to look at the cost of production in order to maintain viability with your competitors. And this always results in job losses because they're always looking a way to consolidate their operations and find the most economical ways in order to get the vehicles out to the general public. But once politicians get involved, it's a whole different story. But they hardly consult with the movers and shakers of the industry to understand exactly how the data work, because all the research is there. But as you can see, everything has a cause and effect. There's also the issue that came up the other day. I mean, the governor of California pushed it a little bit further by implementing the ban of ICE vehicles by 2030. And then a couple months later, he's also asking residents of California not to charge their EVs for too long in order not to put too much pressure on the power grids. So you can't have it both ways. And this started out all in part of trying to please environmentalists. The only manufacturer who stood up and said, look, you have to give us more time. It doesn't make sense to push EVs on people, and the prices are not going to be the same as before. Toyota was the only manufacturers who said, let us concentrate on emission reduction rather than going full electric, because there will be consequences in the long run and consumers will not be able to afford these cars coming out just now. We also have to look at the environment itself, because as you know, some of these materials that are needed in order to manufacture these cars are only located in certain parts of the world. Again, and separate companies would have to be formed in order to mine these essential raw materials, resulting again in deteriorating the environment. We can't have it both ways. A couple years ago, it was all about saving the trees. We introduced plastics. Plastic did the harm. Now, the talk was save our oceans. Then we turn around and we ban plastic again, only to move back to the trees. So, it's a cycle. Let me hear your thoughts below in the comments. Remember to grab a copy of my ebook, The Parts Manager Guide. Please smash that like button on your way out. It will only take you 1.5 seconds to do so. Until next time.